So hello again, my name is Hannah Vierkamp. I'm the Creative Experience Resource Specialist at St. Louis Public Library. This is the third in our series of free online media production tool workshops this spring. And today we are looking at Pattern Sketch. The series is available on YouTube. If you missed the first two, we did a workshop on Adobe Spark, which has tools for graphic design and short videos and social media images. And then we did Bear Audio, which is an online audio editor. And today we're going to be looking at Pattern Sketch, which you can use to create music loops and drum. And it's basically a drum machine online. And you can create backing music for songs or elements of a song. And so as you did for this one, those of you who are here live, you can sign up for these workshops on our event calendar at slpl.org. If you miss a workshop or are viewing this later, you can find all of these workshops on our YouTube channel. And so we will link the Creative Experience website and YouTube channel at the last slide of this. And if you came to this workshop, we will send you the slideshow, so you'll have that. And if you're watching this later and would like a copy of the slideshow, just email us at the address on the back side, which is cexp@slpl.org. So Pattern Sketch, as I mentioned, is a browser-based drum machine, and it's a sequencer, which means you can tell it what instrument you want it to sound like, certain pitches, how long it's going to be, and create patterns. And then you create beats and music loops with this that you can use, and you can export and save them. And then you could use it in another digital audio workstation that you could create songs with it. So this is compatible with all modern web browsers, and it can be used as a browser in mobile devices. There isn't a specific app that you can download from the App Store, but you can use it in your browser. But I did notice that it's formatted for desktop. So when I tried to look at it on my phone, it was, I couldn't see the whole thing, and it's a little bit awkward. And you do need to be able to download things onto a device when you're exporting audio that you want to use later. So that would be a limitation if you were trying to use this on a mobile device as well. To get started with this, you just navigate to patternsketch.com. And if you'd like to follow along, you're welcome to do that now, or you could do that later. I do have the chat open, so if there are any questions as we go, feel free to put a question in the chat, and we'll have time for questions at the end as well. So you can use the app and export audio without logging in, so you don't have to log in at all. The only advantage for logging in and creating an account, as I'll show you, is that you can customize patterns and then save them to come back to later if you create an account. And so I'll do a demo here in a minute, but basically to get started, you just choose a drum kit and then choose a pattern, and then there are a lot of different customizations that you can make. Some of the limitations of this app is that you can't take multiple patterns and arrange them into a song the way that you can in a downloadable program like Fruity Loops. You can use your computer keyboard and you can play notes on it, but right now there's not a feature that allows you to record them as you play in real time, and I'll show you what I mean when we get to the demo. These features might be added in the future. This is a program that is created by an independent developer, and when I signed up for an email, I got an email from the developer asking if there's any features that I'd like to see or if I have any questions. I did respond, and I have not actually heard back, so I'm not sure how responsive the developer is, but things may be added in the future. The downside also about it being created by an independent developer is that I've noticed that it can be a little bit buggy. It looks like you can share patterns by email, but when I tested this, it doesn't always work very reliably, and it looks like it's coming from an address from the developer instead of from my own address, so it's kind of a weird address, and it just sent the default pattern rather than the pattern I had created. So that's not necessarily reliable. And then today, when I was getting ready for this program, the web page was actually frozen for a little while, and I tried it on several different browsers, and it was having issues. Fortunately, it started right up, and fingers crossed it'll work while we're presenting today. But it is a little bit buggy, and I think that is because it is created by an independent developer. So we're going to do a demo now. Any questions real quick before I move on to the demo? I think some of this will be more clear as I start going. Feel free to put your questions in the chat if you have any. Okay, so here we are. This is the interface, and it's really pretty simple. It starts like this. As you can see, these are representing bars and beats in a song. And so you start out by choosing a type of drum kit. This one is set to reggae. These are the different options that you have. Let's see what, let's try the classic 808s and see how that sounds. So you can set that, and you'll notice that that gives it a different feel even with the same pattern when I change it. So you can change the sound of the drums, and then you can also change the patterns as a basis to start. So these are the different patterns that you have to start. So, and then you can make your own, but let's just try out different ones. So, and then I could try, you know, there's all different ones, but these are just a place to get started. What you can do then is customize them. Let me just try one more. Let's try this rolling one. So you can see this is the bass drum, this is the snare drum, these are low bass, these are all the different drums. And then these are when they're firing in time. So you can see that if I click on these and add more fires, you're going to see that this is going to go much faster. And I can clear that out like that. This down here where it says the steps is saying how many, that's counting these across these different steps right here. You can also set the tempo here. So if I decided I wanted it to be a lot slower, I could change that tempo right here. I could shuffle this up. So those are things to experiment with. And you can also clear this pattern, and then that'll clear the whole thing. And so if you wanted to do that, then I could create my own pattern if I wanted to do completely by my own. These are at the beginning. These are the bars and the beats. So the white ones represent the bars, and then this is the first beat on the bar because this is 4/4 time. And I believe that if I wanted to, let's see, I was trying to see if there's a way that I can change it from 4/4 time, and I'm not sure if that's possible right now. So I only have 2 beats. So you hear when I play it, it just plays 1, 2, and then it's quiet for the rest of the signal. So it's still going through all these other steps, and it just starts at 1, 2. So let's go ahead and add more. If I just start adding these randomly, you can just see what this will do. So you can play around with it this way, or be more scientific about it. And I'm going to take this shuffle off. But I like to choose a pattern so that it gives me something to work with to customize, because having it completely open is sometimes too much openness for me. So let's try, oh, this one automatically changed to the ComTrue's kit too, but let's see what happens when I change it to jazz. Same pattern, but totally different drums. You can adjust the frequency and the overall volume, things like that here if you wanted to. They're just simple high, mids, and lows. There's not a lot of different options. Let's see what happens if I put it on the dub one. Let's try this. And maybe I want to just add some, just have this go on almost all of these. So what you can do when you are, basically this is just pretty simple and you can play around with it. These drums correspond to different letters on the keyboard. So I'm playing that on my keyboard right now, which is kind of fun to just play around on. So that's what I was mentioning, that you can play these with your keyboard, but unfortunately there is not an option in this program to record in real time yet. That's a feature that I would hope that they would add. If you have a way to record your screen, like if you're using a PC, and Windows 10 machines have the feature that's built in that's intended to record video games that you can record a screen with. And so you might be able to record with that. If you're using a Mac, you might be able to record with QuickTime or with some third-party app. So there are possible ways that you could use this if you wanted to play it, because it's kind of fun to just play in real time like that. But within this app, you aren't able to record it. But that can give you, it's helpful to use those ones just to say, like, I wonder what this noise 2 is, or let me just see what like this one sounds like. And also I can realize that this one's pretty quiet, so maybe I want to turn the volume up on that one. So it's good for testing. But really then you're just playing around and making your pattern. So maybe I just put on a few more of these just to see. I'm just doing this totally randomly because I like playing that way just to see what happens and then change it, but you can certainly be more scientific if you want. So when you get something that you like, the nice thing about logging in is that then you can save that pattern. So so that was the original name, and I'm going to say just say 2, so I know that I have my version, and then that saves it for me. And if I want, that way when I go and look in here, now I have my new version. And so you can save multiple patterns that you create if you log in with a free account, and then you can come back to them and customize them later. So that's kind of cool. And then I can export it. The share button is to email it. And like I mentioned, I had some issues with that not actually sharing the beat that I had made. It just shared a default beat. So that seems to be a little buggy, but the export is working well. And so this is saying how many loops that you want to create and how many steps there are in it. And so right now we had, I have 16 steps, which is the 4 bars, and it's changing over that time. And then the loops are how many times that's recording. So you can say how long you want that to be. And then, yeah.
The screen got quite a bit blurry for me again. It looks like someone in the chat just shared blurry.
Yeah, weird. Okay, let's stop and start again. Is that any better?
No, it's still pretty blurry for me.
I don't have a lot of other things to go over this time. I just really wanted to show you guys the interface and play with it. If you guys want to load it up and try experimenting yourself, we could do that, and you could we could chat. You use the chat to say what you find in or experimenting. The only other feature that I wanted to point out was the export, and I had started to do that, but in the green menu, and I don't know if you can see it on this image very well, but there's that export audio button. And when you click on there, it gives you the option to download it. And the options are a WAV file, an OOG file, or an MP3 file. And I would recommend using the WAV file because it works best for the program, and it just downloads an audio file. And then you can open that up in another program. Like if you wanted to open up the Bear Audio that we went over last week, you could actually import that into a program like that, or you could import it into a multi-track program like Adobe Audition or Audacity, or if you're at the Library Pro Tools or something like that. And then you could actually you know, sing over it or something like that, or add it to other options. So this is really a pretty simple, straightforward program that I just wanted to show you. So any other questions about this? To show you. So how does it compare to GarageBand on a Mac? So this is it's much simpler than GarageBand. It doesn't have nearly as many features as a GarageBand, but it's a little bit different because this is a sequencer, and so it's a little bit more like a program like Fruity Loops. GarageBand is a little bit more of a linear program, so it'll show things in time from 0 to 1 minute or 2 minutes or however long. This is more like it creates patterns that you can rearrange, and then when you're exporting it and telling it how many loops, you can have something that you would put into a more linear program like GarageBand, but GarageBand would be a great place to import something like this, and then you could use the other tracks if you wanted to sing over it or add some of the instruments in GarageBand. GarageBand has a lot of other virtual instruments that are more melodic that aren't the drums so much. So you might do that on one track and you might use this to create a beat for GarageBand. So they're just a little bit different that way. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the resources here. Pattern Sketch is really easy to find if you Google, or it's just patternsketch.com. Creative Experience is, you can find us on the slpl.org website, and we have a link in the footer there. And then here's a link to our YouTube channel and we'll send this out, so that'll be easier to find. But all of our previous programs are listed on our YouTube channel, and so if you missed any of these programs, you can find them on there. Next month, we're going to be looking at a program called Vector, which is a program for creating vector graphics. And so vector graphics are like the kinds of graphics that you might create in Adobe Illustrator. They're graphics that you can use to make logos, kind of like this Creative Experience logo that's on here. And the nice thing about them is that they're not made with pixels. So you guys probably know what a pixelated image looks like when the resolution is it's not high resolution and it's expanded too large. The nice thing about vector graphics is that they maintain their resolution and can be expanded to any size. And so Vector is a free online tool for editing and creating vector graphics. So we'll be talking about that next month. And then we haven't announced the topic for May yet, but if there's any programs that you know of or any particular type of program that you're interested in learning about, let us know and we could look into that for the final program. I also wanted to mention that we are launching a new program in April called Artist Exchange. And so this is intended to be a peer-to-peer artist exchange for any kind of media. And it's going to meet one Wednesday of the month from 6 to 7 in the evening. It's going to all be virtual, and it'll go on from April through August right now. If we may extend it longer if it's popular, but the idea is that different artists each month would be able to present either a work in progress or a new work that they're working on for peers to share. And so it's intended to be a really positive group to show work that you're working on. And so this could be any type of work, definitely media work. We will share it over Zoom. So I'm going to be putting more information about that on social media soon, but it is already on our events calendar if you want to check it out and sign up either to attend or email me if you would be interested in sharing your work either in April or in a coming up session. So I definitely want to encourage you to check that out. Does anybody have any questions or comments about this before we wrap it up? I apologize for the technical difficulties. Well, let's go ahead and end the recording. Thank you.